Hey everyone. Hey, what day is it? It's Fear Buster Friday. Woohoo! Now, sometimes this is very this these videos. Sometimes they lag. I know that you guys can hear my voice, hopefully, and I play them back and I know that I can hear myself, which is great. But sometimes the picture, I know the video doesn't want to keep up. Not really sure what that's about, but you know, internet connection and all that. Oh yeah, yeah. But anyway, I'm Lydia Rieger and this is Fear Buster Friday. Yay! What do we do on Fear Buster Friday? We bust those fears. That's right. We do it with faith, freedom, and fun. Yes. So what am I going to talk about? So usually, I mean, every Friday, I talk about some topic that gets us thinking. It could be a principle, a life principle. It could be something that is like a fear, a doubt, a worry, and how to get through that, over it, step off of it into greatness. All right, so what am I talking about today? It is the law of receiving and giving. That's what we're talking about today, the law of receiving. What does the law of receiving say? It says that we should give first, we should give wisely, we should give systematically and expectantly. What it's saying is that we give first. We have to give in order to receive. Now, many of us have heard that before, but what does that really mean? Okay. First of all, we have to give before we receive. Think about it like this: a fire, a wood stove. What do you have to do? You can't just be like, hey, give me some heat. I'm cold here. You got to do something. You got to give it some wood. Okay? You've got to have wood. Now, we have to also give wisely. Why is that? We need to give where it will do the most good. It just kind of makes sense. People who aren't making an effort to, they've got to at least try to make an effort to do something. If they don't, you're just going to be really wasting your energy, because those people aren't really, you know, yes, it's true sometimes, it feels good to give where the need is needed. And sometimes people aren't in the position to really do very much for themselves. But, they, in my opinion, they really got to try at least a little bit. And then, you're not going to feel like you're really being abused, and used. So that's a really good thing, to be able to just give wisely and where the need is greatest. There's a lot of need out there, and so when you're thinking about where to give and how to give, think about where the most need is. And giving systematically, like regularly, is good, because we want to, if we're doing the opposite, where we're sort of like not really certain, and we're giving this sort of irregular pattern of just like whenever we feel like it doesn't bring a whole lot of self-confidence into your world. So if you are giving on a regular basis, and when I say giving here, it doesn't necessarily mean money all the time. All right, we've got ideas we can give, we've got our time we can give. We've got different talents, different things, that we're good at. So it's not just about money all the time when we give. So when I'm talking about giving and receiving, think about, not just money here. Um, and so if we're giving in a regular fashion, we're going to build up a self-confidence, and that also builds our mental attitude too. So, and that, when we build up a mental attitude and a self-confidence, that just naturally attracts success. And that's what we want. And the fourth thing is that we want to give expectingly, all right, so that we are giving so that we know we're going to receive. We're not giving to receive. We're not just giving just so we can have something. That's not right. It's not you know that's not the idea at all. What we want to do is give, and in doing so, we know what we're going to be getting. So for example, think of the farmer. Think of yourself if you're planting some seeds. If you're going to plant zinnia seeds, you know you're going to get zinnias. If you're planting snap peas, you know you're going to get snap peas. You're not going to get pumpkins. So you're going to do this giving, this planting, knowing what you're going to be getting in return. I talked to somebody recently who doesn't believe that this is a law, this law of receiving, that you give in order, and then you will receive because of your giving in this way. And quite frankly, I was shocked. But also, I know this person, so I wasn't extremely shocked because I know, that this is kind of how she operates. And, that's okay. We're all on a different, level of operation here, and that's okay. But what struck me was she says, that this law of receiving, she doesn't think it is a law like physics, and I beg to differ. It is just like physics. It is a science, and it is also in the Bible. But you see, I'm not going to just like quote things from the Bible because I mean I do sometimes, but here's the thing: many people argue about the meaning of things in the Bible, and and that's okay. Everybody's on a different level of understanding. Um, but the fact is, what I believe is the real truth here is that these laws exist, and not only are they in the Bible, but it's like a law, just like the physics, just like gravity. If you throw something up, it's going to come down. It's just how it is. And no matter how much, um, you know, uh, so here's the thing. So this person I was talking to who doesn't believe that this is a law or like physics, um, she mentioned how people, and she was talking about money, how people in some countries or different areas of the world, they can never reach a certain kind of abundance in the way of money where they can, maybe like quote, be rich. Um, because it's just how it is, in their country. Although then she says, well, some people can. And I'm like, well, haha, there, some people can, right? But I agree on the level of fact that there are limits, okay? And in certain situations. But what is that? That is a situation, that is a circumstance. And when you operate that way, you are agreeing with that circumstance or that condition. And it doesn't have to be that way. It absolutely does not have to be that way. And so, I totally disagree, because truly, if these people who cannot maybe um, on the surface of things get more money, they can truly be abundant in other ways. But I also believe that they can have wealth in the abundance of money. It's because if they're if they're happy in general, and they're giving in a way that they're going to be happy because they're giving of their positivity, let's say, that's wonderful. And then if but I always think, it is not impossible. It's not impossible if those people truly want a more abundant life in the way of money. There are ways, but not in the current circumstance that they're in. If they buy the fact that that's where they have to be, because that is how their town or country operates, and they feel like they cannot succeed in the way of gaining money because of that situation, well, there are many ways that they can think and dream and get out of that situation. But if they stay locked in the thinking that this is the way it is, just because this is the way it is, then yes, it's going to stay that way all the time. There are, of course, people, it might be a small percentage, who can actually go beyond that typical norm of whatever it is in that situation or country, right? Um, but it is not impossible. It is not impossible. Now, maybe for most people, it stays that way. But why is that? It's because there's a mindset there. Yes, I realize, that there are places where people are oppressed, or they've got these dictatorships, and it's very difficult. Yeah, it's not going to be easy, maybe. But what if it could? What if it could be easy? They're living in a situation or in a paradigm of sorts. And if they knew, and a lot of them do know and strive, and if they know, hey, this is the paradigm that I'm living in, but I'm going to work at it, and I'm going to work on changing this paradigm. And there are so many people who are doing that, and so many people who are not. But for somebody to tell me that they don't believe in this law, and that it doesn't exist, and to try to show that there are these situations. Yeah, and why are there these situations? They're there because of the mindset of these people. um, so yeah, anyway, I challenged this person, this friend of mine. I challenged her to get curious, to really get curious why. For example, actually, it's a client of mine, and she's a friend too, and you know she she isn't as abundant as she would like to be in her business and in her money and everywhere else in life. She says she's abundant. And I said, that's great. That's so wonderful. And let's get curious. Let's get curious here, because something is blocking your abundance in the money, in the business. Something is blocking that. It's like there's a kink in the hose, okay? And so for you watching now, think about that. Think about, where does it seem like there's a block in your life? Um, it's so my friend doesn't think it's because she doesn't give, and she gives. her money and has always given her money. Um, and a lot she feels in comparison to other people that she sees, or most people that she sees. And that's wonderful and admirable. And yet there's more. There's more to get curious about, because you're giving and giving, and you're thinking receiving. Well, the law says you give and then you'll receive. So there is something that she is not giving. So, and in my life too, if there's something that I feel I lack in, then I am not giving in that area. And I don't always think that you have to give money when you want more money, but you have to give something. And there must be some way, some sort of block or kink. It could be a paradigm from a long time ago, from your past. It could be something that, some belief that you've lived with, whether it's conscious or not. And in order to unkink that hose and to make things flow to you the way it should be, the way it's supposed to be, you got to find out what that kink is, what that block is. And so this is what we're working on. And I told my client, get curious and figure it out. So bottom line is here, these laws work. They work. They are laws. The law of receiving works. You don't have to even know that this law of receiving exists. It still works. You don't have to believe in it even, but it works. And in order to make it work for you instead of against you, you gotta try to realize that it really is a law and to work with it. So how do we work with it? So we get curious and we think, why if we think, you know if it's not working for us, like our goals, like if achieving and getting the things that we want to get curious why we're not at our goal yet, and think, okay, what is blocking? Where is the kink in the hose? Or what is the paradigm from the past, some um, belief. Maybe it was something our parents said, or our grandparents even. Maybe the great-great-grandparents told the next generation down, and it just kind of got passed down to you. Um, but you got to figure that out, and you got to start repatterning it, because whatever it is, it's a pattern. Okay? And if you haven't had the money you want in a long time, or you haven't had the relationship that you want in a long time, or the health that you've been wanting for a long time, why? There's been a pattern here, and we've got to break that pattern. Okay? So you got to start figuring it out. And shoo, yeah, I'm passionate about this, okay? So, and here's the thing, like sometimes people want me to just coach them on, um, like, just, how do I achieve just help me achieve my goals. I've got these goals, I've got these priorities or big rocks in my life, Lydia. I just want help to achieve those. I want some motivation, and I want some accountability. And yes, I can give you those things. I can give you motivation. I can give you accountability. And I do that, and I'm happy to do that. And that's a big part of my coaching. And also, until we also see that there's something greater at work here, we will not be able to achieve our desires. And what is great at work here? It's the vibration that we're in, and it is our higher power. It is God. Um, and we all have different beliefs in the way of that, whether or not there is a God, or how, what we believe in as far as, like, do we believe in in what's written in the Bible? Do we believe in something else, some other religion? Do we believe, you know, we'll argue sometimes about, what, like, here's what it says in the Bible, but the meaning could mean this or that. So, there's so many beliefs, and that's fine. And until we really see that's really about a vibration, it's about a harmony. So when you think about your God and your higher power, that you should talk, to that being, talk to that God, talk to that higher power, and figure out, what does that power want you to do? What does, for example, what does God see for you? What is the meaning of you being here? Because you have a calling and you have a meaning in your life here. This, you're here for a reason. And so what does God want for you? And to realize that and be in harmony with it. And that's what I talk about. That's what I mean by to be in harmony, because we're not going to get anything that we're not in harmony with. God may want something for us, but if we're not in harmony with it and we don't see that yet, it's not going to happen for us. So what do we have to do? I believe we have to be ready to hear what it is, and ready to hear that mission, ready to hear what is our calling, and be open to listening, to really listening. And what does it mean to listen? To actually do the steps that are required, and to be willing to understand, or to try at least to understand and figure out what our blocks are and why, and understand how these laws actually work. And even if you don't think there are laws, obviously there's something at work. So you've got to try to understand how it works and how you can get to your dream, and how you can work with the law, or with, how to be in harmony with instead of being against the flow. And speaking of flow, I mean, um, if you've ever gone swimming in, let's say, like a river, it's hard to swim upstream, So when you're swimming downstream, or if you're paddling in a boat, it's so much easier to just go with the flow. And I believe that's what God wants you to do. God wants you to realize what you're here for, and to get in harmony with that. And then it's all going to be easier. Why does all this matter? I've been talking now for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes here, but why does all this matter? It's because when you're in harmony with God and His desires for you, then they become your desires too. And you can eat what you desire, because that's what you're meant to do. That's what you're here to do. What is your fear? Bust a move today. Because that's also what I'm here to do on Fridays. I'm called to do this every Friday. What's your fear? Bust a move. It is to put the wood in the stove, baby. Yes, put the wood in the stove. Find the thing that you need to give so that you can receive. Put the wood in so you can receive the heat. All right? Figure out what you need to give in that area in which you lack. If you want more money, like I said, you could give more money. But, sometimes that might be one of the hardest things to do, because you're like, I don't have the money to give. So maybe it's something else. Maybe it's you know, like those paradigms I was talking about. Maybe you gotta, you know, give up a belief to then give in to another belief and to really live into that new belief and to give a great idea, which is, you know, that belief. And, but you got to figure it out. You got to figure it out. At least experiment with it this week. Pick something to experiment with it and get curious and give wisely. You know, I've given to people and who were appreciative. You know, I can think of at least 2 people who I've given to, and they were very appreciative, but they did not ultimately try to improve themselves. They just really didn't try. They lived in a certain paradigm and they couldn't get out of it. And they're right back where they started, unfortunately. Now, I totally, totally believe in them that they could change and continue to grow out of that, but currently they have not. And so they really have abused the gift that I gave them, and also I because of that, I do feel somewhat used and abused also, and it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. So, and to give regularly. Okay, that's also your fear bust a move, is to give regularly this week, and to give regularly this week and going forward, um, because that's going to build your self-confidence, and which will grow, and it's going to spread. And when you are self-confident, other people become self-confident. It's contagious. And when you give, you're going to expect a return. So that's the other fear busta move. I want you to expect, just like you would when you plant a seed, that something's going to grow from it. And not just anything, but if you plant lettuce seeds, you're going to get lettuce. So figure out what you have to give this week. Figure that out in order to create your abundance. Choose something this week to experiment with and message me about it. I would love to hear it. Put it in the comments what you plan to give this week and what you plan to receive, because, you know, and another time, maybe next week, I'll talk about how to be a gracious receiver, because that is just as important as being a good giver, to be a gracious receiver. But anyway, also message me for a free strategy session. If you like these principles, if you resonate with any of this, message me and I'll give you a free strategy session where we can dive into your goals and dreams and see what's blocking you, what's kinking the hose, so we can bring more abundance in any area in your life. Because, you know, you've got to get even more harmonious with your abundance in order to receive it. So that is the end of my message today. And remember to make every day a fear buster day. Bye for now.